developer ergonomics. So this is very near and dear to our hearts as developers ourselves and as an e-commerce developer platform. And as I mentioned in the promotion extension demo, we have introduced pipelines everywhere in the platform. In Ucommerce 9 and previous, we had around 20, maybe 40 pipelines all told, and they were very much focused on doing logic and backend updates. With Ucommerce Next Gen, we introduced more than 200 new pipelines into the system. So most everything that Ucommerce does happens through a pipeline, which means it's extensible. You can get in there and change it. It means that you can really get at all the little nooks and crannies of the platform and also see how it works. A great example is the headless APIs. We have an endpoint. You hit that endpoint, but what happens is that endpoint is actually powered by a pipeline, right? So not only can you introduce new headless APIs into Ucommerce really quickly, you can also customize the ones that are there. So if add to cart endpoint is something you're interested in doing something different, you can. If you want to change the way the back office endpoints work, you can, right? The promotion engine, another great example. So they're everywhere. Finding the right pipeline is probably going to be the biggest challenge. But there is actually an option within the platform where you can sort of go in and see what are the pipelines, their roles and things like that. So you can find the right one to hook into. And of course, our product team and solution team is here to help you if needed. So that's really, really cool that we have this pipeline architecture everywhere. It really comes in handy as a way of dealing with things in a consistent manner. As you saw when I was working with the platform before through code, we also updated some of the underlying platforms. We wanted to create a platform familiar to .NET developers, which means we wanted to sort of take advantage of all the knowledge that are out there in the ecosystem. And of course, that means using standard frameworks. So when we built the first versions of Ucommerce, Microsoft didn't particularly have an ORM, so we went within Hibernate, and that was fine. Now Microsoft has had for a long time an ORM, and Entity Framework is it. So that's what we're using everywhere. It has the advantage that as a developer, you can sit down with a familiar tool and just get started without too much hassle. Same thing with dependency injection. We used to use Castle Windsor because, we were sort of on the forefront of DI and solid principles and things like that 15 years ago. Now it's commonplace. And of course, we want to take advantage of all those innovations that have been made there. And we don't want to impose an undue cognitive overhead to developers. So it's just Microsoft DI with some more stuff on it, right? The Microsoft DI stuff doesn't particularly know how to deal with the pipeline. So we built some extensions to deal with that. And it's all code first, as you could tell. That's been sort of like a recurring theme from the past. Can we get rid of the XML files? And we can. So now you're doing it all through code. And finally, everything happens through .NET 8, the latest Microsoft .NET platform. So, you can take advantage of all the latest and greatest. You can run it everywhere. I don't know if you noticed, but I'm running Ucommerce on a Mac with all the stuff that's necessary. So you don't need to be on a Windows computer if you don't want to. You can also do it on Linux. And of course, .NET 8 in itself is a super fast framework. So a lot of the speed ups that you saw in the back office is, of course, because we created UIs that were super efficient. We created efficient backend code, but the underlying platform itself, much more efficient. So we see much better performance across the board.